Everybody's talking all that stuff I'm not. Why don't they just let me live? I don't need permission, make my own decisions. That's my prerogative. That's my prerogative. Hello, beautiful people. This is Kiki coming to you today with love, peace, and happiness and sending it your way. So, I am feeling a little happy. I survived another week. Another week without having to call the paramedics. Another week without having the police or deputy come into my classroom. And another week of still being employed. Yeah. It's been a little crazy, but I try to take the smallest positive thing I can find and try to hold it close to my heart. So, my students, I don't know what's going on with them, but it's always some type of drama. And I think they should start a true series called The World of Elementary, because you'll be very shocked about some things that happen in a public school system, especially in the elementary sector. My children, my students, my precious little ones, I care. I have so much concern for them, but they know how to press my nerves. And no matter how many hugs come my way and smiles come my way, they know how to quickly change up my day. And they know teachers are not allowed to cuss them out. They know. And they try their best to take advantage. And a few of them, they try to use profanity under their breath. One teacher was telling some of the students to line up, and, one of the students was like, "This bitch get on my nerve." And so, in order for me to stay within the code of ethics, that's the term that I was trying to use in my last video, the code of ethics, I sometimes have to be creative. And right now, I know Thanksgiving coming up. So sometimes I have to let some students know, y'all getting on my ham and turkey nerves. Or y'all need to shut the duck up so we can focus and get this work done. Sometimes I don't want to go there, but they take you there. But, they just don't understand. And I know sometimes it's hard for us adults to remember the moments of when we were elementary students, and we used to love to get the kick out of getting on a teacher's nerve. It was like a dream come true, because, they don't make school exciting. And it's almost like we're just focusing on getting the students ready to work and be obedient. And that's just how it is. That's how the society is set up. So it takes a lot of work. It's almost like taming a wild horse. It takes a lot of work. And that's why there's one documentary that slave owner work. I'm sorry, the name is not coming to my brain forefront quickly. But he said that in order to mold a child, to get a child to really believe in what you're telling them and to change and contaminate their innocence, you have to do it before they are 7 years old. Yeah, 7 years old. And even though they're still developing and still absorbing a lot of the information throughout the years of their development, is something crucial about when they turn 7 years old. And the thing that bothers me the most is when a child is older than 5, that means they had 5, 6, and 7 to be trained and to be molded to get it right. And anything after that, it's almost like, okay, don't expect teachers to work a miracle, because it just won't work, But a few crazy things that I experienced these past couple of weeks. Okay, I do know that I had to, for the first time, recommend a student for a psych evaluation. It really hurt my heart. This student cutest little boy. I can tell he's going through something at home. And it's not the fact that I'm trying to pry in his business, but, basically that's the kind of job we have. We got to know what's going on with the students because, of course, we want great workers. And if they're suffering and not doing well in school, then most likely they're going to suffer and not do well in our society. So this particular student comes to school almost every other day smelling like piss. So I don't know. And he's old enough. He should be potty trained. They did not inform me of any health conditions. He's not wearing pull-ups or a diaper or anything like that. So he decided to come to school. But when he comes to school, he's very defiant. I don't know if he's been diagnosed with, what is it called? Oppositional defiance disorder, so ODD. But if they need to get my input, that's what I'm going to diagnose, because that's what he's showing 100%. He does the opposite of everything I tell him to do. In order for him to cooperate, I have to pretty much give him compliments in order for him to cooperate. And it shouldn't even take all that. But yeah, he ended up, him and his sister, they're about around the same age. Beautiful little children. The sister comes to school looking like she's wearing her baby sister shorts. And I guess the school, they don't dress code them because they know they are truly struggling. And one day they came into my classroom and they infected my whole classroom with lice. So basically they had to do a treatment in my classroom until, and hope for the best. Hope there's no signs of it. And so he would normally wear an afro, but because of the lice situation, I guess his parents decided to go and get him, a decent fade cut. He came back to school and some of the kids were shocked because he spent most of his years walking around with a nappy matted afro, dirty and everything. And so, but it's almost like, well, I don't give a fuck and I don't care. That's the attitude you have. So, it is what it is, and that's sad when a child knows that, okay, he's being neglected and he's kind of just accepting it and taking it out on everybody else because, people come to school with fresh, clean clothes on around him, new shoes and new cut, and he's still struggling with the same issue. It seemed like to me for the past 2 or 3 years, because I've seen a picture of him with the same afro and it was higher actually. So, and worse. It was like an afro growing into one big lock. It wasn't divided. It was just not well kept and not combed. It's like when I try to offer help, like the sister, she comes to school with her hair matted up and stuff like that, she turns down the help. And I know sometimes it's hard to accept help, especially if the parents telling them, don't you take nothing from any students. But anyway, the little boy, he got his hair cut. Some of the kids started like picking on him. And it's like I said, children can be so cruel. You can come to school with nappy hair and they still say something about you, and you come to school with your hair cut nice and neat and they still hating on you and got something to say about you. And so he got in his feelings and he said, I'm about to kill somebody. And I'm like, dog it. Why did he have to say some mess like that? And so I had to kind of calm him down. And I know that I knew it was a very serious comment and situation, but I didn't want to jump the gun. So I had to explain to him. I said, look, they got a place for people that think like that. I said, it's either you go and it's either they put you in a straitjacket and some padded walls, put you in a room like that, or they put you in behind some bars. And I do suggest that you don't drop the soap because it can be very painful. And so he started smirking, but it's like, I know he is crying out for help. And so this kind of came to me, and this what kind of made me want to kind of talk a little bit more. And I know some of my topics can be heavy, but the only reason why I share some of this information, because a lot of parents, they're so caught up with getting the bag. They're so caught up with baby mama drama and baby daddy drama and money issues. So it's like a lot of times they overlook their children's behavior, and they feel like, okay, the minute their child do something bad, okay, let me just beat them, physically hurt them, like that's going to help them emotionally. See, when you have an emotional issue, you have to resolve it in an emotional way. As far as the physical, I never ever heard anyone yet help improve somebody's behavior by beating them, because to me that's learned behavior from the oppressors back in the slave days. And yes, I'm not gonna lie, I learned that behavior, and I didn't really have to use that kind of punishment with all my children. But it's like, when you know better, you do better. You know what I mean? So my children, I'm not trying to brag and boast, because they do have their own personal issues, but it's not so severe to where I have to go visit and pay somebody bail, or I have to, constantly deal with the criminal system because of something my children did, And so that's why I know when I speak and say and give out information about certain topics, it's because I'm talking about my own experience. Now, yes, I know all children are cut different. Yes, I see that very well. The children that's 2000 and up, they're very different. They're different from the 1990s and the 80s. They're very different. And, and we have to learn to embrace the differences and meet them at where they at their level. And so the thing is, I feel like we just gotta, take out the time to really understand our children and really recognize when they're starting to act different. Another incident that happened, okay, so this was real tricky, because this started off with a Hispanic, non-English speaking family. They come into the school, we have a conference. I'm translating with my Google. They got their little family member translating. I'm thinking, okay, we're just gonna talk about grades. So the Hispanic, the woman come in, and she was like, I just need to understand, but in her own language, what's going on with my daughter and her grades. Because when I look in the grade book, basically she's saying her daughter did not get any credit for some of the work that she did. And so I pull open the grade book, and I'm pointing to everything that she complained about. The girl got an A. And I'm like, okay, so if you don't really know how the American school system works, if you really don't know how to speak the best English, then this is when you actually need to come in and ask for help. Not come in being defensive, thinking that, okay, I'm just going to get scared and just start giving out A's just because you're coming in here with an attitude with a different language. So that had to be handled. I thought I was going to go home, my regular work hours, and I ended up being there until an extra hour and a half. And it went from that to now we finding out that one of the daughters writing love notes and she cussing people out in Spanish and looking all innocent. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So yeah, I know all cultures have drama too. They just have it in their own unique way. But trying to resolve it, I'm so grateful that I had, a pretty good counseling backup team to come in, because she was more calm and I was more aggravated. Not to the point where I was being disrespectful. It's like, okay, I had a long day at work, ma'am. Your daughter is not failing. We just asked her to stop talking so much, even in Spanish. We just need her to know when to turn it on and turn it off. And that's all I ask. And we can all go on about our business. And so the counselor was the one that kind of helped calm everything down. Because, dealing with 60 kids with different personalities, that ain't no easy job. And so thankfully, the lady managed to get something out of the English language, and she was able to get on, going on out about her business. But, the thing is, the main focus of my video was about when to be nosy and when not to be nosy. Now, I had my fair share of days of being nosy. I was blessed with a nice wide nose to sniff out all the bullshit. That's just how, my maker made me, right? And so when I am noticing that people come up to me and ask me, how am I doing? Do you really, really want to know how I'm doing? Do you really, really want to know the truth? Or are you just being nice and nosy at the same time? Because if you, like I had a coworker on my job ask me, how's everything going? Now, if I was to tell her it would go so perfectly if you can help me grade 120 papers, I know damn well she'll come up with an excuse to run and not help. Because at the end of the day, we all got papers to grade. So it's like, I feel like if people want to be nosy, be helpful and nosy. Another important thing that I want to point out, okay? I mean, even with some of my family members, when they don't hear from me in a while, I like to go within and I like to sort out my challenges and my issues within my own mindset. I found that it's safer for me emotionally and mentally not to involve other people too much in my business unless I'm given the discernment to do that. Because sometimes your issues, and you share it with certain people that is meant to know, it can also help them and help them resolve issues and teach them a lesson. But the ones that's low vibrational and still haven't healed and ready to point the blame game, the fingers, they're quick to want to know how's everything going, but at the same time, they really don't want to know. But then when you start telling them your issue, then they try to ease their way on out the door, and they just know your business. So that's why, you just got to be mindful of how you can help and when to give out information and when not to give out information. Not too long ago, I got a text from a very close family member that brought me into this world. And they want to know, why don't act like we strangers. You act like you can't come and talk to me. And so it's like, I have to say to myself, do I really want to tell her my business? Because if I tell her I'm low on money, she ain't going to offer no money. If I tell her that, I'm tired and I just need, a vacation, she ain't going to offer me a free vacation. If I tell her that, I don't feel like cooking tonight, she ain't going to come and cook for me. So I'm like, what is the real reason for you to ask, or get in your feelings? Because I ain't running my mouth about all my business, and all you're going to do is take my information and probably spread it around and switch it up and gaslight it, and then it ain't resolving anything. But see, I used to be very sensitive about people, judging my life and talking about my business, but then at the same time, I had to realize there's still a positive outcome either way. So that means if you learn something that really happened in my life that may be true, and you take it and you say, ooh, why she doing that? Why she did this? Why she left her husband? Why she said this? Why she said that? At the end of the day, that negative energy turns into my blessing. And then if you do say, okay, well, I know she's going through something. I know Kiki probably needs somebody to talk to. Kiki is probably under a lot of stress and emotional. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can, let's go and see if we can take out to lunch, or let's give her a gift certificate to go to a spa or whatever. That's still a blessing. So either way it goes, I just take it and hey, transform it, to my benefit. And so if you are in a situation where you're dealing with a lot of people all in your business and not really trying to help, then just take it. Don't get into it. Don't argue with nobody. Nobody's worth stealing your energy, especially if you know they're not mentally on your level. If you know they got a lot of BS going on in their own personal life, that is almost like a cat and a dog that don't like each other trying to communicate. The cat is more spiritual. In reality, the cat is real spiritual. But the cat know, I might as well just slap the dog in the mouth and make it and keep it moving, because I know ain't no need for me to go back and forth trying to bark like a dog. Ain't no need for me to try to meow to the dog, because he still ain't gonna understand my language. So basically, that's how you got to look at life, And that's another thing too. If you're the type that always want to get up and do a testimony every Sunday, just know you are totally being judged. So that means you ain't just being judged by the Jesus and the God that you believe in. You're being judged by the pastor, and they're gonna smile in your face because that's entertaining to them. They're gonna, you're gonna be judged by the ministers. You're gonna be judged probably by the congregation, because people, that's what they do. They don't want people to recognize their bullshit, so they're gonna just focus on your bullshit, and they're gonna make a big deal out of your bullshit when they shit just as shitty. So with that being said, y'all, be mindful of that. One lady, she got up and she was telling everybody, I'm so blessed and I'm so grateful because I've been hoeing for 30 something years. I didn't care. I used to sleep with married men. I used to sleep with all types of men. And everybody pretty much was like, what? And I'm like, I said to myself, now, how is this a benefit for us to know? Because now most of the married women in the church, they're going to be standing around their man like a bodyguard. If you used to be, a seductress and good at, collecting bodies. So I'm just saying, people go through changes. We're all here for our own personal exploration and experience, whether it's good or bad. And it is not our job to sit and judge. It's not our job to be nosy to make the situation worse. It is our job to help. And every time I find out anything about any of my students, I don't sit there and be like, ooh, guess what? I got the tea. It's like, okay, this child is crying out for help, and I want to see the child flourish and help them survive in the matrix, because that's basically what it's all about. And if you don't have a strong mentality, it will break you down to your core. Trust and believe. Been there, done that. And so with that being said, family, friends, frenemies, I do wish you guys nothing but love, nothing but the best. You may say, who am I to have the authority to give out advice? Well, I'm a child of God. Whether you believe in whatever you believe in, I have a purpose. And like I said, if I get a download from my spiritual team, I'm going to be obedient. And, it's not the fact that I'm here to make you feel some type of way. And I know you're going to feel that way because that is conviction. That's conviction. That is what is meant to happen when I speak and when I share some of my information, is to make you feel some type of way. And if it's a good thing, then that's all well and good. That means maybe you can go and inspire others with the same things that I'm telling you. And if it's a bad thing, it's still going to wake you up. It's still going to cause your spirit to say, you know what? Oh, I can't stand what I'm hearing. But you know what? At the end of the day, she probably just saved my life. She probably just brought a blessing in my life just with the simple things that she's saying out of her mouth. So don't be so quick to knock everything that I say. Like I said, I'm not a perfect motivational speaker. I'm not even licensed to be a preacher or a minister or a bishop. And I don't care to be. I'm just here doing my part to contribute to society. They say that when God chooses people, he chooses the unexpected people, the people that have been outcast and judged and treated like the black sheep. He chooses the alcoholics. Sometimes he chooses the sex addicts, the drug addicts. He don't choose perfect people, because what can you tell somebody if you ain't been through shit? So if I'm saying and I'm telling you information, it's because I have experienced it, or I know somebody very close to me who experienced it. You know what I mean? So, like I said, be mindful of who's trying to really find out how you're doing, and really pray for discernment to see if they really just trying to know your business to make it worse, or whether they are really here to be a blessing in your life. And so that's how energy transfer. You bless one person, even if it's monetary gain, tangible goods, whatever, with words, and then that blessing circulates. That's how the energy works. It circulates. You ever heard when you look at somebody and you smile, it's like contagious. They smile back. But when you come into somebody with some negative behavior because you've been through something, then most likely they're going to get frustrated. Like, what the fuck? What's wrong with you? Why you coming to me sideways? So, yeah. And that's the circumstance, I know I'm expected to have haters. And that's because I'm doing my job. When my students be like, Miss Brown, you mean you always making us do work? I say, that's because I'm doing my job. Now, if I was your best friend, that means I wouldn't give an F if you made an F. So appreciate and understand, it's all out of love. That's it. Everything I say and do is out of love. I have no more room to be bitter. I have no more room to hold grudges, because my time won't be long. My time, we here for a reason, for a season, and eventually our meat suit, it expires. So then we did our duty. We did our time, we did our chapter, and then we get ready for the next chapter if we choose to. So I try my best to make every moment count and make it teachable and make it helpful. And so I hope you do the same, and I'm going to leave it here. Until next time, peace out.